Hi there. I wanted to make another video and share some more thoughts about the book that I've been reading called Stop Eating Your Heart Out. And I really appreciate everybody's feedback and really kind words regarding all of this and how much it's helped them. And I hope that as we continue to chat about the different chapters in this book and the things that she suggests, that it will be helpful to you in whatever part you are in your journey and figuring yourself out. So the next chapter, she does a lot about self-care, support, ways to kind of get your feelings out. And one of the suggestions was journaling. And for the longest time, I used to have a diary when I was younger, and it was just like facts, and as a kid it's dumb stuff. But as I got older and my mom suggested that I write things down and journal just things that happen, so because she's like, you'll forget as you get older, you forget, and it's very true, you forget everything. But I avoided it for so long because it felt not good enough, I guess. It felt like just writing random things, whether it was daily happenings or thoughts or feelings or ideas. It didn't feel like it was complete or written well enough. And so because I didn't feel like I could do it great, I didn't do it at all. So I had to change my perspective, and her suggestion is just sitting and just unloading. So unload your thoughts, unload your feelings, your ideas, what just happened in the day. Just write something. So for me, it's 5 minutes a day. I have to sit down and I have to write something. Whatever it is comes out, it's fine. And whatever it is or whatever it isn't, it's what it is. And for me, it had to be good enough, because that's one of my struggles, is it has to be like done right and to be done at all. And so I just kind of had to give myself some grace and just write to write for writing's sake. So that's been really helpful for me to kind of just like dump my brain, dump my thoughts, dump my emotions, vent and think and whatever on paper, and then just be done with it. It's been very, very cathartic and helpful for me to do that. So I would encourage you, whether you like writing or not, whether you're good at writing or not, write something. Just do it. It will be so helpful. Trust me, it's been great. So the next thing that she focuses on is finding support. And there's a few ways that she talks about doing this. She says to create a support system. So they ask you to list places that you feel supported, whether that's like church or like a small group or in your family core or friends, or with, in different aspects. Maybe it's your job, maybe it's, at the gym, whatever it is, places that you feel supported. And the next thing is they have you list qualities that you're seeking in a buddy or a support person. So those things are like not judgmental. These are mine. I'll just list off mine. Non-judgmental, strong believer, doesn't always try to fix things, but listens and understands addiction of some sort, whether it's food or other addictions, is supportive, challenges me to be accountable. Those kinds of things were important for me. Then they encourage you to list off a handful of people that might fit that list, and to reach out to them and to ask them for support, to ask them for help, and just to know that you have somebody who's got your back. And sometimes that's difficult when you don't want to be the person who seems like a failure, who seems like you're all flawed, messed up, and you have to kind of be vulnerable with somebody. That can be really hard to do sometimes when you build walls around yourself for protection and you shove everybody out. You're alone and you're protected, but you're alone. So for me, it was letting those walls down, reaching out to people that maybe I already trusted, or people that were my friends, but I had never shared this part of my life, and kind of letting my guard down. And that was really helpful for me to even get to this point to share with other people, because I most of my family didn't even know some of the struggles that I'd gone through. So to be able to let my guard down and let some people in to help me and support me was really, really great in the long run and helping me to get stronger. So the next thing that they encourage you to do is make a self-care activity list. So I have, 40, 50 or something on there. And it doesn't have to be your normal self-care activities. Sometimes we think they have to be something super relaxing or super, helpful or whatever. But sometimes it's just recognizing that you need to stop and take a break, put on some music or pet a cat or make a phone call or go for a bike ride or just sit in silence or put a candle on and turn off the lights. Whatever it is, there's lots of ways that you can kind of recognize that something's not okay with you and that you need a minute. So that's really been really helpful for me to have the list already made, because when it's already made, you can just access it instead of being in the moment and feeling overwhelmed and not knowing how to respond. And then you're panicked because you don't know a response, and then you don't respond. So you're like, I don't know what's going on. But for me to have a list already pre-made and ready in advance was really helpful, to not be panicked in the moment or to not make a good decision in the moment, but to look at the list, go, okay, what can I do right now? What do I have time for? What do I have supplies for, or whatever, to access that and to do something for yourself to be able to reset your brain, reset your feelings, all of that. The other thing they have you do is make a have to and should list. So here's how they explain this. Talking about shifting your perspective and how this is important. So they have you make a list of things that you have to do and that you should do. Because sometimes we overwhelm ourselves with I have to do this, I have to do that. We have overcommitted ourselves. We have done lots of things to stretch ourselves thin. So we have all these expectations that we often set upon ourselves or that other people set upon us. And so we have these lists of have tos and should do. And they encourage you to shift the list from have to choose to, and from should do to could do. That way you kind of undo some of the pressure that you put on yourself and the standards that you've set. Standards are great, don't get me wrong, but when you have really unhealthy expectations for yourself, you can get in a lot of trouble. And when you spread yourself too thin, you get in a ton of trouble. So that was really helpful for me to have a list like that where I didn't feel the pressure and I could shift the phrasing, which shifted everything in my head to make more sense of going, oh, okay, I should do that, but do I have to do that? I could do that. I can choose to do that instead of feeling the pressure of having to do it. The next thing that they suggest is therapy. So they have you make a list of why seeing a therapist might be right for me at this time, and you list off how it would be helpful for you and things that you could work on. And I'll just list off some of mine. It gives me someone to talk to. Would be a person who could provide solutions or tools. It would be somebody outside of my world, somebody who would challenge me to be or do better, would provide some accountability, and would allow me to be vulnerable and transparent. And I've seen the same therapist since 2012. I won't go into the story about how I originally connected with her, but it was really kind of a cool thing where God kind of worked it out. It wasn't intended to be a therapist who was a believer as well, but I go into her room and we start chatting about like what I do for a living, who my family is, just about me. And she gets really excited that she can use tools from the Bible and tools from our faith to be able to help me. Because ultimately, if you're a believer, you know that the true answers are found in Jesus, and that is where you're going to find hope. That's where you're going to find answers. And without that, a lot of it is just, it's important to have brain work and emotional work and all that kind of stuff. But that your faith on top of that is such an amazing and useful tool as well. So it was really kind of a cool God thing that we were connected in 2012. And I've seen her off and on since then. And even back then, we talked about eating issues and emotional stuff like that. And back then, I wasn't ready to admit or face the truth that I had some major issues in regards to like an eating disorder or eating issues and emotional issues regarding eating. But I know for me it was helpful to even have somebody to talk to that was separated from my life, that I didn't feel like I had to impress, or I didn't feel like that I had to be a certain standard of a person. So I think it's so great because when you have somebody to talk to outside your friend group, someone who can give professional advice and perspective, who can give you ways of coping that maybe you've never tried, and can give you ways of seeing things differently that you've never seen before, it's so huge. And for me, seeing her weekly or bi-weekly, whatever our schedule allows, has been the biggest growth area for me in regards to this, being able to have somebody who has some really great answers and some really great insight about decisions and focus and things like that. So ask around your friends or your family. They might go to a counselor or therapist and you might not know. Also, if finances are an issue, check with your insurance, but also check and see if the counselor has like special cash rates or non-insurance rates that they might be able to provide for you. But I hope that the next few chapters, if you're reading along with this, will be helpful for you, because coping and therapy and finding ways and outlets to deal with the pain, deal with the emotions and feelings is so vital in fixing what's going on here, and what's going on here. Just all around, it helps. So I hope that you're enjoying this, and I hope that you'll join me again. If you have questions or comments, put them below, and I'll see you next time. Thanks. Things that they have you do is make a have to. Sorry about that. Creepy.